1981. The year Indiana Jones dominated the box office, Jesse's Girl was the #1 song, and Ronald Reagan was always president. I was a reporter at the time, working at the Beach Reporter, covering Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach in California. I wrote a very popular column for that newspaper at the time called Changing Tides, in which the following story appeared. Goodness. Well, hi there and welcome back to The Last Wander of Mars. A couple months ago, I had an episode where we started out sampling some excellent Who Songs tequila. Which led to a tale from my old column, Changing Tides, that I used to write for the Beach Reporter in Manhattan Beach. Back in those days, those sunny slopes of long ago. And at the conclusion of that episode about Husson's Cantina, I mentioned that was back in the days when I always wore a hat like this one. That's right. That was back in 1981 when a hat like this was high styling. And I mentioned that I would tell you the story about exactly where it came from, and then tell you another tale from Changing Tides that was pretty much had a lot to do with this one. First of all, this is what I always call my traveling hat. Have to remember, in 1981, cowboy style was really high styling at the time, thanks to a John Travolta movie that came out at the same time, which we'll talk about later. But it was also that year that I met a young lady named Kathy Bailey. We met one night in March at the old Blue Moon Saloon in King Harbor, before it was destroyed in a bad storm. We really hit it off, so I called her and asked her out the next weekend. Our first date lasted 4 days and took us from Redondo Beach to Crestline and Palm Springs and finally up the gondola to the top of Mount San Jacinto to play in the snow. One thing she loved to do was travel, and that's a fact. It was early on during one of those trips that we stopped at a roadside souvenir stand selling snacks, Cherokee moccasins, and all sorts of Western gear and Native American jewelry that Kathy found and bought me this hat. In fact, now that I think back on it, this hat was the inspiration for the Changing Tides column I'm about to share. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. It seems like every time John Travolta makes a movie, everyone goes bananas. He made one film and everyone started going to discos clad in gaudy polyester horrors. He made another film and now everybody's a cowboy. Cowboys. You've probably seen a million of them strutting down the Strand in feathered cowboy hats and western shirts, their thumbs tucked neatly inside their belts. Cowboys. They clump along in cowboy boots and fashion western jeans and sometimes in vests, but they've never roped a cow, ridden a horse, eaten beans around a campfire after roundup, or even gone to Texas. They're urban cowboys. The most curious development from this home in the density city range is the advent of the so-called urban cowboy bar. Now these are places tailor-made for Mac Dillon playtime, the places where the urban cowboys meet the urban cowgirls. Many places have begun boosting an urban cowboy image. A Friar Tuck's on Manhattan Beach Boulevard now offers urban cowboy nights for its cowboy-hatted patrons, and even Ponchos on Highland, as I discovered a couple of weeks ago while on a margarita hunt, is rolling in the hay, treating listeners to the strains of such quaint bands as Jan Carrot and his Roundhouse Roughneck Band. Yee-haw! But it takes more than just some good old hometown dirt-kicking music to make an urban cowboy bar. Friar Tuck still looks like a Robin Hood inside. And Poncho's is a Mexican restaurant. It takes an entire atmosphere and a lot of mystique, or so I was told. So, to invade one, you can't go dressed like a civilian, and I thought it probably wouldn't do to go alone. So I dug my old fringe jacket out of mothballs, the one I wore while riding around on a motorcycle in 1969 while humming Born to be Wild from Easy Rider, and made a date with this little filly named Kathy. Kathy got into the spirit too. She had bought a brand spanking new set of cowboy boots to wear under her jeans and greeted me at the door with a cold bottle of Lone Star, just to set the mood, she said. We went to WACO's, an urban cowboy bar on Pacific Coast Highway just a couple of miles up from the beach. WACO's used to be Latitude 20, and years before that, it was the Polynesian. Just how anyone could transform a tropical paradise Hawaiian holiday lounge into a rodeo roundup cowboy saloon was beyond me, but I heard it was the best cowboy bar around. Actually, it was not all that different from any other kind of bar, with some peculiarities, such as the giant Lone Star banner across the top, or the dance floor built to look like a corral, or the shooter bar in the back, or the giant Texas state flags on the walls. The dancing was another distinct and integral part of the urban cowboy scene. Only two dances were really done, namely the two-step and the 10-step. The basic step to the dance looked like something from a square dance, only all in one direction. The 10-step was similar, but involved kicks and side kicks. The band played on, and the evening wore on, and after a while, perhaps due to the Lone Stars and the shooters, the novelty began to wear off, kind of like the end of a costume party. But I no longer felt silly in my cowboy hat. It's funny how fast one can adapt to that kind of thing. But just before riding off into the sunset, we passed two urban cowboys leaning picturesquely against a split wooden rail, checking out an urban cowgirl. "Fine-looking heifer," one said to the other. "High-stepping 10-stepper," the other answered. And this is Torrance, California. I started actually laughing so hard that Kathy had to drag me away from there because, everybody started looking at me right away. I'm just dying. High-stepping 10-stepper. Oh, my God. So, what did we all turn out to be? Maybe we didn't all grow up to be cowboys, but I think it's more like we never grew up. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that was a good story. It was a funny story. And it was really one all about style. You can't really make fun of the cowboy style that was back then, because that was the epitome of cool to some people. It's interesting as you go through life what people's concept of what's really, really cool, really desirable. Me personally, I always wanted to be a surfer and live a surf lifestyle. That was the coolest thing in the world to me. To other people, it was being a cowboy, even an urban cowboy. Oh, well. Thanks for joining me this time around. I had a good time. And I love this hat. So see you next time on The Last Wonder of Mars, partner. And remember, for more wanderings, don't forget to subscribe.
Smoking rockets, Commander. You mean they haven't subscribed already?